I'm a lover.
He never knew the technique of kissing. He never knew the thrill he could get from her touch. Never knew much, but look at him now.
Man, I really come on.
He's a new man, better than Casanova at his best. Right on, with a new heart, a brand new start.
He's so proud he's busting his vest.
So he's the guy who turned out a lover. So he's the guy who laughed at those blue diamond rings. One of those things.
Yeah, but look at me now.
He's a new man, better than Casanova at his best. He's got some new drive and it's really fine.
Why, I'm so proud I'm busting my vest.
He's a lover.
Yes, I'm the guy
Yes, we
who
know
turned
he's
out
a
a lover. Yes, I'm the guy who laughed at those blue diamond rings. One of those things.
God, look at him now.
Jack, I'm ready.
Look at him now.
Hi, this is Alan Vachey. You're listening to WUCF FM Orlando.
Support comes from the Central Florida Jazz Society. Per Danielson and Company perform this Sunday, April 9th at 3 p.m. at the Abbey in downtown Orlando. Per is joined by Tamara Danielson on alto sax, Danny Jordan on tenor sax, Michael Wilkinson on trombone, Eddie Metz on drums, and Richard Drexler on bass. Information at 407-539-CFJS or on the Central Florida Jazz Society Facebook page.
Yes, the Central Florida Jazz Society, yes, they do a good job. And boy, we're listening to that lineup. That's going to be quite a concert there. Per Danielson, he's one of my favorite people, I guess, in addition to the musicians. And so I just thought I'd put in a little note there that I thought that's a great group. Eddie Metz, everybody else that mentioned. Anyway, I'm Jack Simpson. It's Jazz on the Beach. Here at 89.9 FM, WUCFM, and WUCF-FM Orlando, I should say. See, I wanted to say that quickly, but I goofed it up. Can you imagine me goofing up the call letters of this station?
It's easy to do, Jack.
Since 1983.
It's a tongue twister, yes.
Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the sounds of the Pied Pipers there with Scott Whitfield taking the lead vocal. What a talent he's got. What one of the great trombone players. And as I said, we saw him with the tribute to Stan Kenton at Vieira High School last week. And that was one of the reasons that I thought, hey, the Space Coast Jazz Society did a tribute to Stan Kenton, that is, a couple of weeks ago also. So I thought to myself, hey, I'll do one too on Jazz on the Beach, and that's what we do in the third hour of the program today. We'll hear some early Stan Kenton that'll give you the idea as to how far he was yet to go, and some of the things that he started and a lot of other people picked up. Anyway, let's continue with what we have on the schedule right now. And here's a group that I guess we kind of like to talk about groups that change things. A little bit later than my normal field of view. Remember, because Miles Davis and John Coltrane were very, very active in changing things at the end of the 60s and going into the 70s. But a group that changed things to some degree, going from the 30s into the 40s, was a cornet player by the name of Muggsy Spanier. And Muggsy Spanier changed things in this way, that in 1939, 1940, most of the emphasis was on big bands. It was big band time, and the big bands they didn't know it, but they only had a few more years to go. When the war was over, so was the big band era. I mean, that's oversimplification, but that's about what happened. And And anyway, this group moved in 1939 and kind of brought the old New Orleans swing sound back into music. And it was Muggsy Spanier and his ragtime band. And as you listen to them and listen to him playing cornet, you'll get the idea that he did become very popular, a little bit more than some of the big bands that were in there. And they occupied some of the influential places to play jazz in San Francisco and other places. And so Muggsy Spanier CDs are still on the market. And I had no problem in obtaining my set of CDs by Muggsy Spanier, and that's what we're going to hear. We're going to hear 4 selections from Muggsy Spanier. And I'm not quite sure, did we bring it ourselves up to date here?
Well, Jack, we should say some thank yous. Your good friend Frank from over in Titusville made a very large contribution. Thank you, Frank.
Oh, yes, Frank, thank you.
He comes through every time. And
yes, he
someone
does.
that you might know fairly well named Corey called in and made her contribution for Ella Fitzgerald. Corey Condis.
Made her. Condis, yes.
You know her, don't you?
I do, indeed. We talk to her almost every other day. She's in Connecticut, though.
Yes.
And listening.
Jack's daughter, listening online. Thanks, Corey. Nice to hear from you. And the father, and a really nice man, a wonderful listener to the station. He's the father of vibraphonist Christian Tamber, called in with his contribution.
Oh, and
Owen Tamber. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And Timothy. I don't know if we forgot to thank Timothy. Thank you so much. And Janine are the most recent calls. It's our spring pledge drive here at 89.9. This is your only opportunity to call in and make your contribution during Jack Simpson's Jazz on the Beach program. So we hope to hear from all the fans of Jack. You said 1983, and so I had to think about 1983 is when Jack started at this radio station.
Yeah, right.
34 years ago. We've only been in existence almost 38 years. We're coming up on our 38th anniversary. So Jack's been here all but the very first years of the radio station. That is just amazing. So show your appreciation, show your support. He's part of the reason. Well, no, I would say Jack is the main reason why you've got jazz on 24 hours a day now. Because when I first got here, Jack, it wasn't like that. We had some jazz on Saturday with your program, and there was some jazz in the evenings. But there wasn't a whole lot of jazz. There was all kinds of other things on the radio back in those days. And we saw that it was so popular during your time of the day, and the music that you played was so popular, eventually it expanded across the whole schedule, and now it's on 24 hours a day. And I think it's completely thanks to you and the success that you had.
That's very nice of you to say that. And every time you say things like that, I say to myself, well, she's going to keep me on. Yeah.
We'll keep you on for a few more years, maybe. Hey, you can help keep it on, keep the jazz on by calling in with your pledge, 407-823-6400.
And we're going to go to Muggsy Spanier now. And the first tune, the ones I've picked out were all recorded in 1939. And Joe Bushkin, perhaps you remember as a name, a pianist, was the pianist for the Muggsy Spanier ragtime band, Joey Bushkin, and Muggsy himself on the cornet. And I should explain the title of one of the tunes. The first tune we'll hear is Riverboat Shuffle, and then we'll hear Relaxin' at the Touro. The Touro is spelled Touro, and what is it? It's a hospital in New Orleans. And apparently Muggsy himself got very ill and was put up in that hospital for quite a while. And that explains the title of that tune that he wrote, I guess, Relaxin' at the Touro. Followed by At Sundown, and then finally Blue in the Blues. So we may drop in the middle of all that, though, to remind you of the telephone number again and how important it is that, enjoy the music. But the important day today is it's the last day in our fund drive. We've got to have your help today. So please do at that number, 407-823-6400. And let's join Muggsy with Riverboat Shuffle. Yes, how about that? Muggsy Spanier on cornet with his ragtimers that really came out. It's a new scene. Yeah, well, let's not listen to the big band for a little while here. Let's listen to Muggsy Spanier's ragtime band. And that's a lot of people did. So it was kind of a changer, a sound changer in 1939. And we're not finished yet. We're going to hear them play At Sundown and Blue and the Blues, that same band. And then the makeup changed of the band or something like that, and they moved on. And perhaps Muggsy got out of the hospital. That might have been something. Anyway, you're listening to Jazz on the Beach. I'm Jack Simpson. I'm enjoying the sounds very much. These, of course, I selected these myself, and they're some of my favorite things. We've got a favorite thing coming up in a little while. But, in fact, before we go into that, let's just talk about why we're here. Why we're here is to convince you that you should be calling us at area code 407-823-6400. See, I get it wrong.
Pretty close.
I tried to do it myself.
407-823-6400.
Right, now you got it. Okay. That's why I bring you along.
That's it. Our Spring Pledge Drive. And Jack, we're working towards our goal that we need to hit by 3 o'clock. We're not quite halfway there, but we're almost halfway through the program. Big thanks to those of you that have already called in and made your contribution. But if you've just tuned in, Jack Simpson's here with us live in the studio this week and bringing a lot of his great music with you and encouraging you to call in and make your contribution so that we can keep this great jazz radio station alive and coming your way. That's how public radio works. We've had pledges that range all over the place, from $10, $20 to $100 to $250. So the point is, you really, it's up to you. You get to look at your budget and think about how much enjoyment you get out of the station, and then you go ahead and make that phone call and make your contribution. 407-823-6400. Help us wrap up this Spring Pledge Drive. This is the only Saturday that Jack Simpson will be fundraising during this Spring Pledge Drive, so it's the only time that you have to show your appreciation for the great music that he brings you and has brought you every Saturday for the past 34 years. Probably one of the longest running hosted radio programs in history, right? In history. I can't say that it is the longest running one, but it's got to be one of the longest running ones. Most definitely. But I'd like to interrupt you for a minute, Kay-On.
Okay. I was happy to hear my daughter call from Connecticut and pledge you $100 with the Ella Fitzgerald thing. The Ella Fitzgerald thing, I don't just sort of slough it off. I'm not by saying that. It's just Ella Fitzgerald is the 100th anniversary of the birth of that wonderful lady of song. And every year goes by, and we have yet to hear anybody who could really match Ella Fitzgerald in the singing of jazz in the way it should be sung. But I'd like to ask you this. Do we have any other, we're talking about a $100 special for the Ella Fitzgerald CD. Do we have any other special that I'm not aware of? Well,
Jack, we do, and we haven't talked about it a lot. And I don't know if you're a big fan of Brazilian jazz, but we have the new CD from Brazilian pianist and singer Eliane Elias.
Oh,
and it is just wonderful. It's on Concord Records. Called Dance of Time. She's just a fabulous pianist and singer. Maybe if we have time, we can play one of the tunes from that, but it is beautiful. So if you like Brazilian jazz, we have that other CD from pianist, singer Eliane Elias, and it's only a $60 contribution for that one. It's just a single CD, but there's a ton of great music on it. Randy Brecker appears on it and does some trumpet work on some of the tunes, and it's just a beautiful tune. But if you like Brazilian jazz, that's the one that you might want to call in for.
I interviewed Randy Brecker right here one year.
Wow.
When he was here a few years ago now, because Michael was still alive at that time. But Randy did a good job, and he was appearing with the local band, with the UCF band. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
In fact, Randy was more to my speed, jazz-wise, than Michael was.
Yes.
Michael was in a different field somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of
Anyway,
experimental, I think he did.
Yeah, that sounds good. The Brazilian input there, so we'll keep that in mind, and we hope other people might be interested in that too. And there it is. I'm looking at it. Okay. Very nice. On Concord Records, you can rely on Concord, it being properly recorded and packaged and all of that. They have produced some wonderful stuff through the years. Well, okay, so we certainly have some reason for people to call over and above the basic reason that we must have you call. That's the business that we're in. It needs your support. And it needs it all the time. But we just ask you twice a year. And 6 months after we got through here today, it'll be back when are we? Next October or something like that.
Should
by the
be
time we come back to you again. So
6 months of just uninterrupted music and great programming is what you get. And that's a wonderful thing. So don't miss your opportunity this week to call in and let Jack know how much you appreciate the show. We see your name and your donation pop up on our computer screen as soon as it gets entered. So Jack has a lot of fun seeing the names and the greetings from a lot of the listeners around the area.
Absolutely.
So don't miss your opportunity. Phones are open once again at 407-823-6400.
Okay, and I'm looking. And I'm hoping that you'll call us now. And I'm sure we've talked enough now. And we're going to go back to Muggsy Spanier with the two selections that I mentioned before, but I'll tell you again. At Sundown and Blue in the Blues. It's Muggsy Spanier's Ragtime Band. Yes, Muggsy Spanier and his ragtime band, and that one was Blue in the Blues. Yes, that's a nice set. I have that on a CD. It's nice to have these CDs that contain a lot of music, just like the one that we were talking about with Ella Fitzgerald there. That, I don't know how many tunes or songs are on that CD, but it's a lot. And some of those CDs are remarkable in that they do sort of give you a feeling as to the quality of the voice that you're listening to. And I'm just saying again that Ella Fitzgerald, for $100 donation, is something special. And take advantage of that. Or the Brazilian one. I know my wife Lorraine's ears pricked up when she heard you talking about Brazilian. That's Ileana Elias, is that? Yes. Yes, I remember her. She had something going when I was on the air live. Very nice sounds coming out of Brazil. A lot of nice sounds have come out of Brazil. It didn't take this wasn't the Americans going down there bringing it back. They were doing things on their own, as we know. But anyway, I want to remind you, yet to come on Jazz on the Beach today is Stan Kenton, a tribute that we're going to give to Stan, and some more bebop. Serge Chaloff. I know when I say the name, I said the name to my son in Indianapolis yesterday, and I said, "Hey, Serge Chaloff." He said, "Who?" And I said, "Yeah, well, Serge." I said, "That's," and when I said it, I've been saying it that way for years. Serge Chaloff. I don't know whether he's from a Russian family because he's from New England. Was born in New England, but the family was from Russia, and I wonder if they call it Sergei or who knows? Who cares, right? The music is great. Anyway, so we'll hear some Serge Chaloff. I'm busy giving you the musical sounds, but the more important sound right now is me or Keon telling you why you should be calling. You should be listening. I'm talking about listening to this good stuff. Great. The reason I'm here all today, doing it live, is because I want to convince you that now's the time. The last time I did this was 6 months ago, and I figured, hey, it's time, and I got back on the ball again, and do things or say things that will make this radio station continue to do what they're doing better. We're not saying, here's what we're raising the money because we want you to do something different. No, we want you to do something what you're doing already. And I say it again, I'll tune in this radio station at any time of the day or night, and the chances are I'll hear something that I like right away. Now, that's an important thing about a radio station. There are many other radio stations. In fact, most of them, you can't do that. You can take a chance that you're going to hear something that you might like. With UCF, no, you will like it. At least that's what I tell myself. It's true. It's true. Keon, I tell you that occasionally. I know, I repeat it, but it's true. When I turn on the radio and 89.9 before I know what frequency is. It comes in, I say, "Hey, what do you know of it?" And I really do have that sort of,
Well, you taught the rest of us well, Jack. I tell you what, we have learned a lot from the years that we've listened to your show, and some of us, you mentioned John Seegers earlier. John Seegers sat across from you for many years, and he learned a whole lot about jazz just doing that. I learn every single time you come in and talk about the music that you've heard and some of the things that you've seen over the many years. It's just a treat. And I know our listeners feel the same way. Jack, I should thank some of the folks that called in. Jacqueline, our most recent caller. Thank you, Jacqueline, for your call. Mary also made her donation. Right. And I think we thanked Frank a while ago and Corey. So we're almost halfway to our goal. We're just a little bit more than halfway through the program. If you've just tuned in, it's our Spring Pledge Drive here at 89.9 89.9. We're raising the funds to keep this station on the air and coming your way. And this is your only opportunity to call in and show your support for Jazz on the Beach, show your love and appreciation for Jack Simpson. Here's the phone number, 407-823-6400. We've only got about an hour and 20 minutes left to go in the program, and we still have quite a few dollars that we need to raise to reach our goal by 3 o'clock. So your call and your contribution will help get us a little bit closer. 407-823-6400. Jack was talking about the Ella Fitzgerald Cole Porter songbook that we have as a thank you gift. It's a beautiful 2-CD set with a booklet included. Ella at her very best. She's got some small combos on here, and there's also some big bands backing Ella as she sings the Cole Porter songbook. And we're doing this in celebration of the 100th anniversary of Ella's birth. She was born on April 25th, 1917. So in just another week or so, it will be the 100th anniversary. You know, Jack, there's all kinds of celebrations going on. I was looking at the Ella Fitzgerald website yesterday, and people are having special concerts and tributes to Ella all over. So we'll let you know about those as they come along, and maybe somebody here in Orlando will do a special Ella tribute. I think that would be a great idea. But if you like Ella, let us send you this CD package. It's available for your $100 contribution. Call now, 407-823-6400, and support Jazz on the Beach and Jazz on 89.9.
Right, thank you, Keon. I was just thinking about the dilemma that I have here, and that we are a little bit more than halfway through the program, time-wise, but we haven't quite just about halfway through the budget, but not quite. We need to fill up the rest of the time with many calls from you guys, and to help us to make the goal. It's a real goal. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's not sort of hey, let's ask for this time. No, it's a real goal. It's based on need, and so we need you to call and need you to maybe inconvenience yourself, maybe a little bit, or maybe a lot. I don't know, but I think we're asking you for sort of to do that. That is, we're providing here with music 24 hours a day, as Keon that's just about essentially what it is. 24 hours a day music that you like, and we ask you to help us to do that. We need your support for us to do that, and we've got on this day we've got about a little less than an hour and a half in this program, and my dilemma is, boy, I wish I could play that. I wish I could play that, but it looks like we don't have time. But then my problem is raising money today, not playing the music today. And I said, well, wait a minute now. You're going to be playing the music to make an attractive thing for the ears of the people who are going to be donating the money. So you've got to do the best you can possibly do. So my dilemma here is that, okay, I was going to play two versions of this song by this guy. No, we'll get it down to one, because I'm looking ahead that we need a time at the end. So please help me out with my dilemma and call us now and don't let me worry about it. Eddie Costa is on piano, a great pianist and vibraphone player in New York. He happened to play at our wedding, Lorraine and I. Lorraine and I have never forgotten that, never forgotten him. And he was one of the great studio recorders in New York. He was a tremendous reader, and they could call him and he could just sit down and play whatever they wanted him to play immediately and play it well. Here's a version of something called Unison Blues. It was written by the bass player, Vinnie Burke, who is a member of the Eddie Costa Trio. That's who we're going to hear, Eddie Costa. And we'll hear that. But then we're going to move to something else, because I want to talk a little bit more. So today maybe is a little bit more talk today than usual, because of the need. So if you'll buy that, it's true. Okay? It's a little bit more talk, less music today, because we need you, and that's why we're talking and hoping that you'll call us. And we're going to hear Unison Blues by Eddie Costa. And what was that number again, Keon?
407-823-6400. Call while you're listening.
This program is funded in part by Orange Cycle. Orange Cycle has hundreds of bicycles in stock, including Raleigh, Cannondale, and Specialized, as well as a wide selection of bicycle clothing and accessories. Orange Cycle, serving Central Florida since 1972, is located at Princeton and Edgewater Drive in College Park. Information at 407-422-5552, Facebook, or orangecycleorlando.com.
Okay. Well, now we come into some special, somewhat of a sub-feature here. A baritone. I love the sound of the baritone saxophone, and it just seems to me that there's a greater interest now in the saxophone, in the baritone saxophone, than there has been in some time. There's I've seen a young baritone player with the UCF band, with Jeff Rupert's band. I can't remember his name, but when we did see the band the last time, there's a baritone player, I told him, I said, boy, I like your sound, and I did, and then there was another saxophone, a baritone player that I'd seen lately, and through the years I've enjoyed, and of course we're going to hear, before the program's over today, we'll hear the wonderful Swedish baritone saxophone player Lars Gullin. And we'll hear that in the next hour, the opening of the next hour, we'll hear that. But Serge Chaloff, of Russian heritage, of course, but he lived in New England, and became a member of the Woody Herman Band, the Second Herd, in 1949, which was also the band that I wouldn't say most, but many of them were drug addicts on that band, driving Woody up the wall and costing him a lot of money. Lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think, on that band. But Serge Chaloff was certainly involved in that and died as a result of the combination of drugs and cancer. And he died at a young age. I'm not quite sure what to say. But he did not get far. The recordings I have of him, though, were all in the late 40s, 49, 50, and so on and so forth. but he was certainly a member of the Four Brothers, was Serge Jaloff, and we'll hear some of his stuff. And he was really taken with bebop, and of course the Woody Herman's Second Herd was more inclined that way than any other band. When he broke up and Lateral was doing all that money, Woody too sort of dropped some of that stuff and continued to play the swing-oriented material. But anyway, I just love the way that this stuff sounded. And I have a CD that I'm afraid I cannot give as a Serge Jaloff Memorial, We the People Bop, it's subtitled. And it has people like Ralph Burns, the piano player from the Woody Herman Band, Chuck Wayne on guitar, and so on. And then as the time goes on here's the thing that I thought I'd mention. Maybe somebody will know the answer to this. There's a trombone player with the Woody Herman Band and also worked with Red Rodney and Serge Jaloff. His name was Earl Swope, and he was married to a Terry Swope, who I think became, through marriage and divorce and stuff like this, I think she turned out to be Terry Lamond. That is the wife of the drummer Don Lamond, and that leads me into the first group that we're going to hear is Serge Jaloff with Don Lamond on drums and Ralph Burns on piano. See, there's a long way around to get there, but I did. I got there. And hey, can you take that a long way around from me being serious about this music? Me being serious about it, I wanted it to continue forever. And the only way we can do that is to keep on supporting this radio station forever. And you can do it singly and simply right now by calling area code 407-823-6400. That's WUCF on the air, waiting for your support. Please call, won't you?